Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak English with Podcasts.
We're happy you're here.
I'm Lucas,
And I'm Mia.
and today we're talking about awkward conversations.
Which means we're talking about your natural habitat.
That's not true.
Lucas, half of your stories begin with, everything was going well.
Fair point.
So what happened this time?
A few weeks ago, a friend invited us to a small party at his apartment. Nothing fancy, just food, music, and a bunch of people talking.
It was actually a really nice night.
It was. Then I noticed something interesting. One of our friends had invited a French couple.
And suddenly, you became very excited.
I did, but not for the reason you think.
Why?
Because they weren't native English speakers.
Ah, so the pressure disappeared.
Exactly. Usually when I hear native English speakers, I start overthinking every sentence. But those two were speaking English as a second language too.
So you felt safe.
Very safe.
Haha. So how did the conversation start?
Honestly, really well. First we talked about food, then music, then travel. Everybody was relaxed and the conversation felt natural.
You seemed comfortable.
For once, I actually was. I wasn't translating in my head. I wasn't worrying about grammar. I was just talking.
That's usually when your English is best.
Exactly.
So when did things become awkward?
Very suddenly, the French guy looked at me and asked a simple question.
What was it?
He asked, "What do you usually do on weekends?"
Easy.
That's what I thought. The problem was that I didn't hear the word usually.
Oh no.
My brain heard, "What did you do last weekend?"
That's a completely different question.
A very different question.
And you answered it?
Not only did I answer it in great detail.
No.
Yes. I told them that last Saturday I met some friends for lunch. Then we watched a soccer match together. After that, we went to a restaurant, stayed out too late, and I got home completely exhausted.
You really committed to the mistake.
100%.
Impressive.
The weird part was that nobody interrupted me. They just listened.
What were they thinking?
I have no idea, but I remember noticing that they looked a little confused.
A little?
Okay, very confused.
Did you realize what was happening?
Not at first. I finished the entire story feeling very proud of myself. Honestly, I thought I was doing great.
Of course you did.
Then the French guy smiled and said, "No, I mean, what do you usually do on weekends?"
There it is.
There it is.
What did you do?
I just stared at him for a second while my brain replayed the last 2 minutes.
Painful.
Very painful. Then I laughed and said, "Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you asked what I did last weekend."
That's actually a very useful sentence.
It really is. And thankfully, everybody laughed.
So what was your actual answer?
This time I paid attention. I said, "Oh, right. What I usually do on weekends is meet friends, watch soccer, go out for coffee, or just relax at home."
Much better.
And also a much shorter answer.
Which usually helps.
The funny thing is that after that, the conversation became much easier. Nobody cared that I misunderstood the question.
Most people don't.
They were just happy to keep talking.
That's usually how real conversations work.
Exactly. But that wasn't even the weirdest part of the night.
It gets worse?
Much worse.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Because after my weekend disaster, I decided to stay quiet for a while.
Which didn't last very long.
Not at all. A few minutes later, you started talking to the French woman.
And that's when my problems began.
Oh yes, we're definitely telling that story. A few minutes after my weekend disaster, I noticed you talking to the French woman.
Unfortunately, I noticed that too.
At first, everything looked normal.
It was normal. We were talking about food, travel, and the differences between France and Brazil. It was actually a really fun conversation.
You seemed relaxed.
I was. Then she took out her phone and showed me a picture of her dog.
And that's where everything went wrong.
Exactly.
What kind of dog was it?
It was a small golden-colored dog, very cute, very friendly looking, the kind of dog that makes people smile immediately. The dog actually looked a little like Caramello, the dog I had when I was about 8 years old. Do you remember him?
Of course! He was very playful. So, what was the problem?
The problem was that I wanted to say something nice about her dog.
Reasonable?
Very reasonable. Unfortunately, my brain chose that exact moment to stop cooperating.
What were you trying to say?
I wanted to say, he's adorable.
That's a useful word.
It is, unless you suddenly forget it.
Which is exactly what happened.
Exactly.
So what happened?
I stared at the picture for a second, smiled confidently, and said, "Oh, he looks very dog."
No!
Yes,
Very dog?
very dog.
That's probably the most accurate description of a dog I've ever heard.
Thank you. I worked very hard to reach that level.
I'm sure you did.
The Frenchwoman looked at me for a second. Then she smiled and said, "Yes, he is definitely a dog."
I love that answer.
Honestly, it was the perfect answer.
Did you remember the word after that?
Not immediately.
Of course not.
So I tried again. I pointed at the picture and said, "He looks very friendly."
Better.
Then I added, "and very happy."
That's good too.
Then I stopped talking before I created another problem.
Smart decision. Did the conversation recover?
Surprisingly, yes. In fact, it became even better.
Really?
Yes! The French guy heard us laughing and joined the conversation. He asked why we were laughing, so the Frenchwoman explained my description.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
And what did he say?
He looked at the dog, nodded seriously, and said, "I agree. Very dog."
That's wonderful.
And somehow everybody started creating strange compliments.
Like what?
Someone said, "professional dog." Another person said, "advanced dog."
Advanced dog.
Then somebody said, "premium dog."
That's my favorite.
At that point, the entire conversation had become completely ridiculous.
But everybody was having fun.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting? Most people would remember forgetting the word.
I know.
But the funny part wasn't forgetting the word.
The funny part was what happened afterward.
That's true.
And honestly, I learned something useful that night.
What?
If you forget a word, don't panic. Use other words.
That's great advice.
I never remembered the word adorable.
You didn't?
Not until I got home.
Of course.
But I still managed to communicate.
And everybody understood you.
Exactly.
But the night wasn't over yet.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Are we really telling the next story?
We have to.
I was afraid you'd say that.
After the dog conversation, I thought the awkward moments were finally over.
That was your first mistake.
Apparently.
The funny thing is that by then, everybody was getting along really well. We'd been talking for hours.
The conversation kept jumping from one topic to another.
Food, travel, movies, music.
Dogs.
Very dog.
Very dog.
Then somehow we started talking about habits that seem normal in one country, but strange in another.
That's always a fun topic.
Yes, it's usually very entertaining.
The French guy mentioned that long lunches are very common in France.
And the French woman talked about how people spend a lot of time sitting and talking during meals.
Then they asked us about Brazil.
And you got excited.
I wanted to explain that many Brazilians take more than one shower a day, especially when the weather is hot.
Which is completely normal for us.
Exactly. In my head, the explanation sounded simple.
And what came out?
I looked at them and said, "In Brazil, we wash ourselves many times every day."
No.
Yes,
That sounds much stranger than simply taking a shower.
I realized that immediately.
And what was their reaction?
They looked surprised.
Very surprised?
Let's just say they suddenly became very interested in Brazilian culture.
That's never a good sign.
One of them asked, "Many times every day?" That's when I knew I had a problem.
At least you noticed.
So I stopped and said, "Let me explain that better."
That's another very useful sentence.
It really is.
Sometimes you don't need perfect English. You just need a second attempt.
Exactly. Then I said, I mean that many people take more than one shower a day because it's usually very hot.
Much better.
Much better.
Did they understand after that?
Yes. And then they started asking questions.
Lots of questions.
Lots of questions. First they asked, how many showers do people usually take?
A conversation I never expected to have in English.
Me neither.
Like what?
Then they asked if people really take 2 showers a day.
And what did you say?
I said, not everybody, but many people do.
Fair answer.
Then the French woman asked, what happens if you only take 1 shower?
That's such a funny question.
It really is. I answered, nothing happens, but some Brazilians might think it's unusual.
Which is true.
Then they started asking about other Brazilian habits.
Like what?
They wanted to know if we really eat rice and beans almost every day.
Another completely normal thing.
I answered, yes, many people do.
And were they surprised again?
Of course they were.
They seemed fascinated by everything.
Then the French woman asked a question that completely caught me off guard.
Oh no, what was it?
She looked at me and asked, why do Brazilians put fillings inside croissants?
No.
Yes.
That's a deadly question if you're talking to a French person.
Exactly. Suddenly I felt like I was representing the entire country.
Which is never a good idea.
So I told her, I think Brazilians just like adapting food to our own taste.
Fair answer.
Then I added, and on behalf of Brazil, I'd like to apologize for what we've done to croissants.
That's probably the correct response.
Everybody laughed.
What did she say?
She laughed and said, it's okay, but it's still strange.
Fair enough.
Honestly, she wasn't offended at all. She was just curious.
That's the funny thing about these conversations.
Nobody was judging anybody.
Everybody was just trying to understand each other a little better.
Looking back, every awkward moment that night had something in common.
What?
Nobody cared as much as I did.
That's a great lesson.
I misunderstood a question.
Everybody laughed.
You forgot a word.
Everybody laughed.
I explained something badly.
Everybody laughed.
I'm noticing a pattern.
Me too.
Maybe awkward conversations aren't actually a problem.
Maybe they're just part of learning.
I think a lot of listeners need to hear that.
Definitely.
If you've ever had an awkward conversation in English, you're not alone.
Every learner has stories like these.
And somehow they're always much funnier later.
Much funnier.
I still think my English is broken.
Your English isn't broken.
Maybe it's just making the story more interesting.
There it is.
Before we go, let's talk about next week's episode.
Next time, we're talking about something many learners struggle with.
Translating everything in your head.
Why do we do it?
And how do we stop doing it?
We'll try to figure it out.
If you enjoyed spending time with us today, don't forget to follow the podcast.
And come back next week for another conversation.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We really appreciate it.
Take care.
Keep listening, keep learning, and keep speaking.
Bye.